Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress of Comic News, episode 201. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my radiant co-host, Mike.
Oh wow! Thanks for that. That's nice of you. Radiant, huh?
Listen, there's no other way I'd want to spend my Valentine's Day, because everybody were recording on Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
than with you, Mike.
I couldn't agree more. You beautiful bastard. This is we were hanging out together talking about comics, and happy Valentine's Day to us because the Justice League trailer just dropped like 10 minutes ago. The Zack Snyder Justice League. So we're going to talk about that. Today in the show we have very special guest Jason Inman with a Kickstarter. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. And I think with that, we might as well just jump into the news. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got any life news you want to update me on? But I think it's...
So, a quick anecdote. So I've been throwing around this idea that I'll never do because I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Of doing a Kickstarter-centric, podcast / mostly YouTube show.
Right.
Where we basically do what we do here, but really go in depth on Kickstarter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day I'm listening to the radio and I was like, that's what I would call it. And Motley Crue comes on, so I would call it Kickstart My Art.
Wow. You better trademark that because it's going to get stolen in seconds.
Oh, people, go ahead and take it. I'll never have time to do this.
I'm sure Kickstart My Art is somewhere online, but that is pretty catchy. TV, Dan Harmon. I thought everybody was mad at Dan Harmon for a while, but I guess the internet forgot or something, or it wasn't that bad of sexual harassment or something that he was involved with.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know he was involved with something like that.
I only know this because he was supposed to come to RIT to do comedy or talk or something, and they canceled him. But
to all the listeners out there, Mike graduated from RIT.
Yeah. So he's supposed to go to college, but I think it was after I can't remember what year it was, but it was I was actually looking forward to see Dan Harmon because Rick and Morty's awesome, but whatever, good to see he's still making stuff. Rick and Morty co-creator Dan Harmon has announced Fox has ordered a full season of his new animated series. There's no name for the series yet, but it's going to be set in ancient Greece, and it's aiming to premiere in 2022, so you can almost bet that everyone's going to sound like Rick and Morty.
Please let it be a Simpsons-esque show with the Dan Harmon twist of the ancient Greek gods being the lead role. So Zeus is Homer.
Yeah.
And whatever the rest of them are. That would be the best.
Yeah. And with TV, did you watch WandaVision?
Oh yeah, I did.
Every week the episode's better and better. I mean, could they tease us even more about the Fantastic Four this episode? Every episode, they just keep teasing us.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that there's also a big tease on how mutants are going to come to be.
Also, a lot of people are saying that they're trying to speculate the villain, and they think Quicksilver might be the villain disguise, Nightmare or something like that. Do you know anything about Nightmare?
Very little.
Okay, that he's he might be keeping people in a dream state or something like that, and that's why they've lost their minds almost.
I think people are pushing too far. I think Wanda's the villain.
Yeah, and I think first off the Kick-Ass reference.
Yeah.
This episode, she's Kick-Ass, and that was really funny because the Quicksilver actor, actually both of those actors that have played Quicksilver were in the Kick-Ass movies.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. But again, the more seriousness of as Vision got towards the outer rim of the town, people were 404 not found,
Yeah.
Completely bugging out, not even moving, and it was really crazy.
The best description I could come up with was it reminded me of, if you've ever seen debug versions of video games.
Mm-hmm.
What the NPCs are doing when your character is not around.
Right, yeah.
And it's literally they're if they're assuming they're programmed to exist in one giant world at one time, which is how a lot of stuff is done nowadays. When you're not around, they just sit there. And as soon as your orb of existence comes, they all of a sudden start to act and do things.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how it reminded me of like how they're just kind of sitting there doing whatever they want to do, and then
and we get a tease about the sword or the sword agent. How they said, okay, you've been coming in and out of the place, but your DNA has been altered. If you go back in there, so that's kind of where this mutant thing is going.
Yeah, because if you read the Ultimate line of comics, the mutants in that were created by the government by altering DNA. So it could be them taking like a little bit of that and then doing their own twist on it and saying like all mutants were created here in this town in New Jersey, which of course.
Of course, Of course, it happened in New Jersey.
And then I don't know how you explain Quicksilver.
Yeah, that's got to be a multiverse thing. I really hope it is. That would be the best. Why not just open up with multiverse? Who cares? But also the new head of Sword is in on something. He's a bad guy for sure.
Yeah, he's got. I don't know. He's definitely made to not be likable.
Yeah,
like we're not supposed to like him.
He's got a punchable face. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what Monica and Jason Wu's thing is going like because they just kind of were like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and fuck off and leave for a little bit.
Right.
And perfect timing to not be turned into a mutant or whatever's happening with that orb.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's great. Every episode, I can't wait to. I just want to. They're gonna like Mr. Fantastic's gonna show up at the end, and then it's gonna be like roll credits.
And I wonder. Like, there's so much I wonder about because there's just the fact that Quicksilver showed up and the Quicksilver from the X-Men movie showed up.
Right.
For me, like the fact that they held that from us.
Yeah.
Says that they could hold whatever they want and
they could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
For me, I finished one more TV thing. I finished Lovecraft Country finally today. So you finished the series, right?
I haven't actually.
Oh, it gets crazy at the end. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger, but it's very comic book-esque. Like by the end of it, it's definitely started something like each character has evolved. Like, you get like a character with like a robotic arm. Because like one of the episodes we get into like a multiverse, and then the episode right after that we get into time travel. So like, the show is all over the place, but it kind of has a meaning for all that stuff. It's really cool and interesting. So hopefully they come out with a second season. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need to finish that. Like I said, I don't have much of a barrier as to what my kids can't watch.
Right.
Because I raised them similar to how I was raised. Like my dad took me to see Alien Resurrection when I was very, very young. So we don't hold too much back from them. But I remember after like 2 episodes of that, not even like the first episode.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna have to be after everybody's in bed kind of thing.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of blood and gore for sure.
And it wasn't even that for me. It's really the tone and what they're dealing with. And I'm not saying I'm hiding, past racism from my children. They're too young to understand it right now.
Yeah, there's actually a scene. I mean, they talk about Emmett Till, who was the 14-year-old that was killed in the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the episodes revolves around his funeral, and I had to look this up because I didn't even know that like this was a thing back like the reason he was killed, and they show a lot of the stuff like children being killed and stuff like that, and it's like it might be hard to look at, but like this is the state of what the South was like.
Yeah, there's just a lot of tonal stuff that I just think they're too young for, and I some of the sex scenes are a little bit too gratuitous.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
Like but I remember,
you pay for it.
Yeah, that show in particular actually had a moment for me that stuck out where there's a sex scene between, I forget the main character's name, but his father.
Yeah.
And the man that he's dating.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like when that happened, I'm just like, whoa. that seems a little over the top. And then I started like going back and looking at other scenes in that show and in others, and I'm just like, that's not over the top at all.
Yeah.
Like that completely worked. Like
yeah,
it's meant to really punch you in the face with it.
Yep.
And I love that it did that. That it, like I got that feeling out of it.
Yep.
Sorry, I have
HBO,
a cat
man.
attacking me, everybody.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
the kitty.
We're now the cat cast. This is what we're doing. All right, let's jump to movie news. I guess we could. Yeah, Captain Marvel 2 has added its villain to the cast. I almost forgot we're getting a second one of this. Zaw Ashton has been tapped to play a villain for the upcoming sequel. We don't know who she's going to play.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm sure like when they were, we know that Captain Marvel has some relation to the Vision show, so maybe something revolving around that. I guess we'll see. Usually that happens like, oh yeah, the villain's revealed in the TV show, and then they're like, bam, Zaw Ashton is the villain for Captain Marvel 2 or something.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do for a villain for Captain Marvel 2, because I don't read Captain Marvel stuff. I've tried a few times. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I don't know her villains that well. So
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, the first one.
It's hard to get Superman a villain. That's always it. It's like.
Yeah. And that's how they've kind of set up her for this version of Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Okay, so Tom Holland said during an interview for his new movie, Cherry, that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are not in Spider-Man 3 to his knowledge. It's a very safe answer, though. Because I don't think they would even tell him if they were.
I think I said it before, but I think that this Spider-Man 3 is not Into the Spider-Verse. 100% is not that movie.
Yeah.
This is going to be them bringing in some multiversal stuff and doing the Sinister Six.
Yep.
But then the post-credit sequence is, oh no, other Spider-Men are coming.
Yeah.
And that's where those two will show up. And they don't tell Tom because he's notorious for spoiling this shit.
He's a kid. Like,
yeah.
Like, of course he's going to get excited and tell all his friends. So, yeah, Disney isn't stupid about that. All right, here's the good news, though. The juicy news. The Justice League Snyder Cut trailer just dropped, official trailer. A lot of those scenes, first off, every time, Zack Snyder, man, can do a friggin' trailer. Like, I don't care, like, Sucker Punch was probably the best trailer for a movie I'd ever seen, probably one of the worst movies I've ever watched. But man, can that guy do a trailer. And even this one, it was like I was watching a whole new Justice League movie. I mean, those were pretty much all new scenes, right? Seemed to me.
Yes and no. I think like 80% new scenes, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see how much of that's going to make it to how much new stuff we're really going to get.
I loved this trailer. So much more than any trailer we got for the one that came to theaters.
Right.
Down to the music was better.
Yep.
The way that it's cut was better. Mm-hmm. The stuff they showed just got me more excited.
Yeah.
Like seeing all of the new gods that are coming, seeing the sequences that of the Justice League and what they're doing, seeing Superman in the black suit.
Yep.
Everything. I loved it. And then at the end, we get the return of Heath Ledger Joker, and that was awesome.
Yeah. Jared Leto as Heath Ledger Joker, but which is fine.
I think now that sequence where Joker's going to appear is obviously in the Nightmare.
Yeah,
sequence.
We're going to get another Nightmare sequence. Yeah.
So I think that his involvement is literally going to be that one scene. Maybe another of him just walking around with him in the Nightmare world, but he's not going to be redeemed as this great villain after this. I think he's going to have one really great scene, and we're all going to be like, "Oh man, why didn't we get that in Suicide Squad?" Right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well let's hop to this awesome interview with Jason Inman, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
And we're back.
Yeah. So everybody, please check out Super Best Friend on Kickstarter. It's got a few days left, so if that looks like something you're interested in, throw some money towards Jason. He's a cool dude, and yeah. And with that, let's what do you think about talk about some comic news, Chris?
Yeah. Real quick, did you hear about this this thing at Marvel with the artist from Immortal Hulk? That whole controversy?
No, what happened?
So anybody doesn't know, he's been doing the art for Incredible Hulk, or Immortal Hulk, and in the background, one of the jewelry stores, he was trying to name it Cronenberg Jewelry, because he's been putting in little like tidbits of other like famous horror directors and everything.
Yeah.
And then he drew a Star David, and that was it. Well, he A, misspelled Cronenberg, B, misspelled jewelry. Mind you, he's writing it backwards. And then I actually had to look this up. I didn't know this, but the coloring that was used on the star was the color that they used in concentration camps. And it's also like they flattened it, so it was like very Nazi propaganda-esque.
Oh no.
Yeah, and they had to recall it and everything.
Is that issue worth a lot? I'm speculating now.
I don't know. I think it came out last week. I haven't looked. I don't look that stuff up, so I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that. Okay, one of those strikes would have been okay, but like when you start hitting all those strikes of like, I mean, number one, we know most of the time they don't have control what the color is, right? So I mean, that's no fault on the artist, I mean, right?
So I think there's multiple layers of I fucked up in this.
Yeah.
The artist screwed up, and he admitted to his screw up and said it was not done on purpose. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt,
right?
Because as he said, he's writing backwards,
right?
And so I can kind of get that.
So what did he spell? Like jewelry?
Jewelry. So it's very like it's borderline.
He's an artist, not a writer. Okay.
And they're going back and fixing it.
Yeah.
So he fucked up there. The colorist then fucked up with the colors.
Right.
But then the colorist didn't. So the inker didn't catch the mess up, and then the colorist didn't catch the mess up, create his own mess up. And then the editor didn't catch any of this shit.
Yeah, like what's the point of having the editor and all these layers of people working on a book if, especially like Immortal Hulk is one of probably the top selling Marvel books. So
what I want to say is I think that there was a lot of mistakes that happened here, and I don't think anybody had ill intent, and everybody that's part of it has come out and apologized. So if anyone's harassing them, please leave them alone. Unless we find out later that he's like a blatant anti-Semite, then fuck them. But
I really start to think that editors only really look at the writing and just skim the art, because do you remember the Jim Lee Earth X Ultraman, or remember the Nazi Superman where he meant to draw him with like those like Nazi pants, but the sketch and the colorist just made him like these really awkward sized quads. I don't know if you remember when that happened. Like,
no,
oh my god, it was gonna be an epic cover of like the evil Nazi Superman and stuff, but it was like, oh no, this like his quads looked so huge because like he was supposed to do those like those like soldier pants that flare on the hips.
Yeah.
And the way the guy colored it in is he colored it all part of his leg, so it was like these really wide quads. I'll send it to you after the show. I'll never forget it because it was supposed to be like one of the. I was so excited for Jim Lee to draw these characters. Then we saw that. I'm like, how the hell did this make to the final print stages?
I'll say I read Immortal Hulk in trade, so I'm not week to week. But I saw the images online.
Yeah.
And it took me like the misspelling, because it's in the background of a panel.
Right.
And I literally, like, if you never pointed it out, never in a million years would have seen it.
Right.
And as far as the coloring, like I said, I had to research it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, what's people make a big deal about this? And I saw, like, oh, that's bad. But it's not like, I don't think that's common knowledge to...
It doesn't help if you use, like, Schindler's List to reference your Star of David colors or something like that.
Oh.
But anyways, let's talk comic news. I mean, that does suck, and I really think, like you said, it's just like one mess up after another here. I don't. He probably just Googled like Star of David, and that's what popped up. Like, yeah.
That, or he didn't think it was a fun. He just, he drew it and thought it looked good enough. He's on a deadline, blah blah. I'm just saying, maybe we should give people the benefit of the doubt until they.
There's a lot of. I will say, there's a lot of like Nazi talk this week between what happened with the Mandalorian actress and this. So Disney's got a bad rap this week for for all this Nazi stuff going on. We won't get into that though. That's not really news. That's just sad. Okay, Marvel has announced the return of the Defenders in comics. It's been a while. I think they really kind of shied away from them after the show. The only information of the book is that Doctor Strange and the Masked Raider are on the team. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love the actual Defenders, not the Netflix Defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual Defenders they did it 2 or 3 years ago. They did like a series of one-shots. It's Hulk, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, and Sony on the Lost Sky. But anyways, so yeah, bring him back. And Masked Raider, we haven't seen him since Marvel 1000.
Oh, wow.
That was the character that was kind of brought in with that. So
okay. Interesting.
I kind of should, because that book came out and it was kind of a meh, and we haven't seen that big reveal, anything done with it since. So
yeah. Okay. XCorp is now official. Marvel announced that there will be a series called XCorp with Angel and M leading the team. The series will be written by Tini Howard and art by Alberto Fauci. But that's Tini Howard's a great writer. I don't know how you feel about those characters reading the X-Men.
I'm reading Tini Howard's Excalibur, and I really like it. Mm-hmm. A part of me wonders how much of that is the Captain Britain of it all.
Right.
Because it is a mutant book, but it's centered around Captain Britain and Captain Britain lore. So I don't know. I might check this out. I think it's a funny image to see Angel in a suit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a neat idea.
Do they have to like cut holes in the suit for his wings? Like
bind them together. He wears a corset underneath it, so it just looks like he has really broad shoulders. I don't know.
DC's adding to its collection of digital first comics with 2 new series. We always say this and we're like, oh, what are they going to give us? Okay, well, Last Ride by Chip Zdarsky and Miguel Mendoza on the art. Okay, DC, what the hell? The limited series will feature a fractured Justice League that needs to reunite to stave off the end of the universe. So that's the first one.
Yeah, sold on. As soon as you said Chip Zdarsky, I was checking this out.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, another digital first. Everybody's just like, oh, okay.
It's funny that in my head though, before I wrote the notes for the show, I was like, yeah, Justice League Last Ride's coming from Tom Taylor.
Yeah. Oh man. If that wasn't enough, DC also announced Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. This ongoing is going to begin April 2nd. The first story arc is being written and drawn by former guest of the show, Mr. Darick Robertson. Are you kidding me? We had him on the show. We couldn't talk about Batman. Good for him, dude. I'm so happy for him. But he did say he had some stuff coming that he couldn't talk about, and that, I mean, now we know you can't just announce a Batman book like that. So that's.
I mean, you can,
but not on air, at least. So.
I'm going to call out Darick Robertson though, because I did some investigative journalism, and I, sent him. I need a confirmation. Will he or will he not be featuring the greatest villain of all time, Cod Piece, in the series? And he refused. He declined to comment.
Oh.
Don't be a coward.
Add Cod Piece. Did you actually asked him about it?
Yes. I just got no comment back.
Oh, he said no comment.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think he knows what the fuck I was talking about.
I really hope that we get the whole purpose of the podcast, sole purpose is just get every one of the DC writers that we know alert to the fact that there was, because every DC writer we've had on here, we've like, please put Cod Piece in something. So like, I'm waiting for it to happen. When it happens, it's because of us. Like, it has to be.
And that will be my legacy. That our legacy.
Yeah.
Is
getting Cod Piece
that this character will return to its glory.
Oh man. DC's first post-Infinite Frontier crossover is coming this April. This crossover will be part of the ongoing Teen Titans Academy and Suicide Squad books, as Amanda Waller tries to recruit Red X into Task Force X. Okay.
Are you going to read either of those books?
I mean, I will read the new Suicide Squad books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read Teen Titans, though.
Yeah.
Or especially Teen Titans Academy. So, maybe I'll read the crossover. I mean, they got me on the future state of this Suicide Squad book because they put the Crime Syndicate in there. So, I don't think I'll be seeing the Crime Syndicate in this crossover.
No, because they're getting their own book.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, no, I won't be reading this one.
Yeah, this doesn't do anything for me. I will say, though, after your conversation last week, I did pick up issue 1 of Suicide Squad, the Thursday one. I haven't read it yet, but I bought it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's the start. First, you have to purchase it.
Halfway there. I also have discovered this new thing, and I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you heard of Bad Idea Comics?
No.
So Bad Idea Comics is this idea, this publisher, and they ship directly to comic stores. You have to, like, as a comic store, sign up to be a part of it, and they ship directly to you. And they only sell their books in floppies. They don't do digital copies, and they don't collect their stuff. So it's this like super underground, like hipster comics. Yeah. And I want to be a part of it because I love comics.
Right.
And for a while there, I was told this by the guys over at I Freaking Love Comics. We talked about it when we were just sitting around chatting one day. They told me about it. And I've been looking for someone to do it. And then I forgot about it, and Robert Venditti announced he's doing a book for them.
Oh.
And if you can find the trailer, look it up. It's fantastic. It's Venditti being a nut and shooting guns and driving around tanks.
What the hell?
But the whole premise of the book is that they run out of oil in the future, so their plan is to go back in time to stop the meteor from hitting, so there's more dinosaurs, meaning more oil.
More fossil fuels.
Which is awesome.
Oh my god.
So I've now found I found 2 places actually, one local and one not local, that sell them. So now I'm trying to finagle my way into getting these books.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I started looking up the other books. They look really cool. But if you know, search Bad Idea Comics, you can find a store near you.
That's cool.
And you can actually order it through their store too, to the shop.
Cool. That's awesome. With comic news, let's talk about what we read this week.
Yes,
I could do a really quick one right now. Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl #4. Steve Niles and Marcelo Frusin. They kill more bad guys and are finally going to fight next issue, maybe.
It still blows me away that Steve Niles is writing that.
Yeah. And it's been, honestly, nothing against Steve Niles. There's nothing redeeming about the story at all. I've just been waiting for them to fight for 4 issues.
Steve Niles, to me, like, the stuff I've read by him, he's a horror guy. Like, he did 30 Days. He did all that shit. Like, so for him to do Hit Girl and Kick-Ass is weird.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy happening there. The Legend of Shang-Chi #1. Alyssa Wong and Andy Tong on the art. Shang-Chi heads to London to meet with his Liko, his friend that's in MI6. They talk about this awesome thing called the Equinox blade. It's basically a blade that like eats people's souls when you stick it in them, so watch out. It's kind of like the katana from DC. But this museum has a sword. They're going to sell it, so MI6 is hiring him to sell it, so they can't be tied back to it, or steal it, so they can't be tied back to it. So he goes to steal the sword. Lady Deathstrike is there. I have no idea who she is, but they fight. He gets the sword and he breaks it, and everyone who had lost their souls from it, like there's people in comas right now from it, got their souls back, and then so he breaks the sword instead of stealing it and says, no, you can't use the sword anymore. So the issue ends where they resolve the plan with MI6, but Lady Deathstrike gets away and she still has a piece of the sword. So I love that shit. Like, give me more like stories about just enchanted weapons. You know what I mean? Like, I eat that shit up.
Soul-sucking weapons.
Yeah. Future State Dark Detective number 3, Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora. Batman finds another Batman wearing his suit. We don't know who it is. He's just going around Gotham being Batman, and the new Batman and the original suit is like, go home, you're gonna get hurt. And Batman was like, but that's my line. And yeah, so that's pretty much that interaction. The magistrate kills another billionaire who works with defense and surveillance stuff, kind of like they thought they killed Bruce Wayne. But Bruce Wayne finds out that the nano drones are at his apartment, that if you remember, he's staying with this like off the grid dude. And I think the daughter of the off the grid dude works at some type of company that's relevant in this big like tech company, I think. So, but he finds out that the nano drones have been above the apartment the whole time. So I think the reveal is, okay, they've been watching the apartment, but they're not watching him. I think they're watching the people that he's staying with, because I don't think they know he's there. Then the second half of this book was the second part of the Grifter story by Matt Rosenberg and Carmen Di Gian Domenico on the art. Grifter, Huntress, and Luke Fox. They make it to the docks to get out of Gotham. If you remember, Luke Fox is trying to get out of Gotham because Magistrate's there. Grifter helps him find Huntress to get out. But Luke was working with Magistrate the whole time to give up the Huntress because they were looking for the Huntress. She's been a vigilante and they want to capture her. Basically, Grifter trades place for the Huntress and she gets away and he's pretty much stuck around. So I guess he's going to be in custody of the Magistrate now. You know, it was a classic story of like, you think Grifter's a piece of shit the whole story, and then he does something and he has an act of kindness to be like, oh, he's not such an asshole. Future State Justice League number 2. This is Josh Williamson and Rodson Roca on the art. This issue's got a lot going on because there's a Justice League Dark Part 2 after that. So Justice League is trapped while the HyperClan is still posing as them. The HyperClan is white Martians, so they can transform themselves into whoever they want. The Justice League is starting to question who is the real Justice League within themselves, and they start telling secrets about each other. Like, we find out that Batman hums a theme song when he's fighting. Superman rats him out. That, like, really funny shit. Yeah, like... So that was pretty funny. But Justice League gets back to their Earth, and with the help of Flash, the new Flash kind of gets them to the runs through the Speed Force and gets them to the right Earth. They beat the HyperClan, and one of the ways they do that is Batman uses a friggin' flamethrower on one of the white Martians, because we know they don't like fire, which is pretty awesome.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know where he's hiding it too. That was a joke. Like, where are we hiding a flamethrower? After this, the Justice League is closer now, and they're going to start looking for new recruits. So the end, they flash up all these people that they're going to start recruiting. And then we get the Future State Justice League Dark Part 2. This is a Ram V and Marco Takara. Basically, the Justice League Dark is fighting Enchantress, who is working for Merlin. So he's like the big bad right now. There's a whole side story with Entrigan finding out that Jason Blood is dead. Well, Jason Blood isn't dead. He's just a knight working for Merlin now, and there's this whole battle between them. Enchantress wants all the magic users to submit to Merlin. There's there's a whole side story with Dr. Fate regaining his powers of the helmet, but Merlin wants his helmet to see the future, but he doesn't know how to use the helmet, so he also needs Dr. Fate. So Dr. Fate basically says, listen, you can have me and I'll be your oracle as long as you leave everybody alone. He tells everybody, Dr. Fate tells everyone that he's seen the future and that this is one of the, the paths that they can take. And Entrigan can change the future because there's a comment there about he perceives time differently than everybody, and then he kind of just pieces out. So I love Entrigan, so it's cool to see that he's a little more useful than just being like the Incredible Hulk of the group, where he's just like you just throw him at people. So that's what I read this week, Chris.
You didn't read Rorschach #5?
No, I did not get to that. But you can talk about it.
So Rorschach #5 it's kind of the political backdrop of what's happening in the story. So we get with the candidate that Rorschach tried to kill in issue 1 that's running against Redford.
Yep.
And we find out that he's a little nutty. And has a connection to the Watchman himself, as he served in Vietnam the comedian was in his troupe, and he had a lot of back and forth with him. So that's basically what it is the investigator goes to see this guy, and we get kind of an insight of who he is and what his connection to everything is. Very little Rorschach in this issue.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I read Snow Angels #1, the upcoming Comixology Comixology Originals published book by Jeff Lemire and Jacques. If you want more in depth, I did a video on it, but my short version is I don't think it does enough in the first issue to make me want to come back. It tells a very familiar story, has a very familiar hook at the end. The only bright spot to it is I love Jacques' art. Okay. And it's not dark. It's very bright and colorful, which I'm not used to with Jacques, but it works.
Right.
But if you have Comixology Unlimited, it's free. So I guess check it out, but I wasn't blown away by it. Undiscovered Country #12 it's the end of the story arc, so I don't want to spoil too much. But it gives us the conclusion of this new zone we're in, and how the gang that we're with kind of fucks it all up, and then goes, "Hey, let's go to the next one." It gives some interesting philosophical questions throughout this arc that I really enjoyed. And I think Undiscovered Country is a really good book that is not getting talked about enough.
Nice.
From the world of Black Hammer. Black Hammer Visions, #1. This is the kind of anthology series that they're doing, where each issue is about a different character, and this one's the Patton Oswalt issue.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt. I wanted to read that too. Yeah.
It was aggressively okay, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's about Golden Gale, which was like one of my favorite characters, because it's reverse Shazam, and she's stuck as a little kid, but she's actually like a 60-year-old woman.
Yep.
So she's constantly complaining about how she wants to get laid and smoking cigarettes. And it's kind of a story about how after she gets stuck, she tries to go and be a little girl and just grow up again, but she's stuck in the state of being this person. And it centers around these two girls that grew up with her and are telling stories about her in perpetuity. I was a little disappointed by it, but it wasn't a bad issue.
Okay.
Next issue is actually a Jeff Johns story.
Oh, nice.
So all the Jeff Johns fans out there.
Yeah.
And it's about Madame Dragonfly. So I'm very interested for Jeff Johns to hit the horror elements here. I think.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And then, hands down, my favorite book of the week was Radiant Black #1. New Image superhero book by Kyle Higgins. This one hits all the check marks for me. It's a new #1 that sets up the story, shows us how our hero got his origin, sets up a villain. Like it does everything to really just create this world and tell us what we are. So in this, our main character is in debt, like $40,000, and has to go move home with his parents. And when he goes out drinking with his buddy, they discover this thing just floating. And of course, he touches it because that's what you do when you see something that looks like a black hole just floating in the middle of the air.
Right.
And it turns him into a superhero.
Oh.
And in this world, superheroes don't exist, so they're both kind of freaking out. And we find out that there's more of these little black hole things around the world, and obviously not everybody's going to use them for good. So the kind of stinger at the end was somebody in a similar suit, just different color scheme, but they're robbing a bank.
Oh, okay.
So I really liked it. I mean, it's an origin story. It's the first issue. I'm going to give it a few more before I really determine whether it's like a great series or not, but I thought it was cool. New number 1 from Image Comics.
Awesome.
That's all I had. Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
They can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, and they can find the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter or at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, to give us 5 stars on whatever podcatcher you use, to like, subscribe, share, comment down below on the YouTube, and to share, because sharing is caring. If you want to go the extra mile, patreon.com/FortressComics will get you stuff, goodies, if you give us money. And yeah, that's everything for this week. Thank you all so much. I hope all of your Valentine's Days were lovely, and we will see you next week.